So for my project, I'm doing kimchi. Um, Kimchi is a traditional Korean dish made from salted and fermented vegetables. It's an ethnic food of Korean origin, and it consists of fermented Chinese cabbage. There are assumptions that have been made that kimchi is the same as German sauerkraut, which is also fermented cabbage. However, these two things are very different. Um, there are linkage of E. coli and the norovirus outbreaks because of the fermented cabbage. The process creates more bacteria and microorganisms, which can increase um, disease in the immune system. The nutrient composition of kimchi. So, in 1 cup of kimchi, which is about 150 grams, there are 23 calories. There's less than 1 gram of fat. There are 4 grams of carbohydrates, 2 grams of protein, 2 grams of fiber. Um, Also, in that 1 cup, you get 55% of your daily value for vitamin K, and you get 22% of your daily value of vitamin C, as well as 20% of your daily value for folate. This makes kimchi a packed, nutrient dense meal. Uh, However, it's also fairly low in calories, as you can see. So, kimchi, as I said before, is a fermented dish. However, with that, it brings the concern of increased food poisoning um, due to the fermentation of the bacteria. It prevents, or is said to prevent uh, inflammatory and decreases cholesterol while suppressing fat growth. All of these things can be linked to reduced risk for heart disease, as these are key factors that promote heart disease in individuals. It also promotes uh, increased chances of fighting off yeast infections, as it has a lot of probiotics, and this can also help raise the immune system. So, ingredients. When looking at cabbage, cabbage is the main ingredient to kimchi. The freshness of the cabbage can depend on the seasonality and time frame when going through the fermentation process of cooking kimchi. While using fermentation, you want to make sure the cabbage or kimchi doesn't present a white film over the dish, and make sure to smell for foul odors, as this can um, that usually means there's mold present and you should probably throw that out. So, looking at the agriculture seasonality, cabbage is typically grown from mid to late fall up until early spring. The availability of cabbage, while it has a season of growing that it grows best in, it can be found and bought year round at markets and stores all over. As far as sustainability goes, the production of cabbage is sustainable um, without the use of harmful pesticides, as these can ruin or increase the potential to alter the taste and appearance of the cabbage. In preparation, most commonly used ingredients include cabbage, onions, carrots, ginger, garlic, radishes, chili powder, and really your meat of choice. And then, of course, salt. The recipe that I have here is one that I got from the healthline.com. Um, the author included it. And it just basically, to sum it up, it's you get your vegetables, you want to wash them, um, make sure they're fresh alongside the ginger and garlic. Then you want to spread salt in between the layers of cabbage, letting it sit for 2 to 3 hours, turning the cabbage every 30 minutes, evenly distribute the salt. Um, then you want to remove the salt, rinse cabbage with water, drain it in a strainer. You can mix it with rice flour, sugar, ginger, garlic, chili, oil, pepper flakes, fish sauce, then your meat of choice. Typically, the meat of choice is fermented shrimp. However, you can change that to whatever meat you like, or even add egg if you don't want to put meat in there. Um, then you want to toss the fresh vegetables, including the cabbage, in a paste until all the veggies have been fully coated. Then you want to pack the mixture in a large container or jar. Make sure the jar is sealed properly. And then this is kind of when your kimchi fermentation process starts, and you want to do it for at least 3 days at room temperature, or up to 3 weeks at 39 degrees Fahrenheit for the best results. As far as tasting goes, my experience with kimchi went pretty good. I mean, I love cabbage, so I had no problem with the dish composition being uh, cabbage base. However, it did taste a little sour, but I want to think that's just the taste of kimchi, and that's how it's supposed to taste due to the fermentation. Um, Kimchi has the ability to taste like whatever you add to it. So I personally added chili powder and onions for the flavoring, which gave it a spicier and more flavorful taste. In most Korean cultures, like I said before, fermented shrimp is usually included in kimchi as a source of protein. And then the egg can also be added. Udon noodles are also incorporated into kimchi to make a kimchi udon soup. And this is a picture of the um, the dish that I tried. In comparison, so basically in my household, I wouldn't say we're strangers to cabbage. It's something that we eat a lot of, usually around the New Year's time, just to bring good luck. But it's usually served with like, usually a stew meat, black-eyed peas, and uh, cornbread is usually the dish that we make. Um, I want to say the way we go about serving cabbage is different from how the Korean dish kimchi is prepared and served. Kimchi is a traditional dish in the Korean culture that uses fermentation to allow for its distinct sour taste. This is very different we um, from what we cook and how we go about eating cabbage. Um, the fermentation, I don't want to say it like it ruins the taste or the flavor, but it alters it. Um, and it's not commonly seen in the US to do this. And then these are the references of all the sites that I visited and all the information that I included in this presentation.